What's up, guys? It's your boy Josh Showtime along with my man Hunter Grand, Josh Baez, and this is Showtime Fight Phone. We talk all things fights. Now, I'm wearing this DBZ because Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is dropping this weekend. So, I had to show out. I ain't sponsored. I'm just a big fan, and I can't wait to play the game. So, shout out to the husbands that have to, leave their kids and wife to go play the game. But since we talk about throwing hands, and that's what Dragon Ball Z does, we are talking about the big fight, the mega fight, one of the most anticipated fight for the past couple of years of two absolute dogs, pound for pound, top 10 fighters in ARTUR BETERBIEV and DMITRY BIVOL, two undefeated classic boxer puncher versus puncher boxer that you will ever see. I'm hyped for this, man. How are we feeling about this, Josh?
I'm feeling great. It feels like this is a long time coming, right? It feels like we've been waiting forever for this fight. Even though we really haven't, but we really have. But I think it also has to do with the fact that we're just so excited for this fight. You said it best, and I've said this plenty of times before. This is a true puncher versus boxer. We're definitely going to see which one has more of the other, and I'm excited for it. This is a great opportunity for us to see number one versus number two. Whoever you have number two maybe is someone else's number one, right? So this is a fight for the ages, and I'm excited to see it.
This is like what people say, a true 50-50 fight. We don't know who's gonna win. Like I'm any day I wake up, I'm like, I think BETERBIEV can win today. Then the next day, it's like, nah, Bivol's probably gonna box him up. And I don't know, like legit. My predictions today is gonna be different for tomorrow, and that's the kind of fights we need to see. And yes, like you mentioned before, it felt like it was forever because at the end of the day, after the Canelo Bivol fight, everybody was just clamoring for this fight because we realized how good Bivol really was. Not to say that we didn't know, like true boxing guys knew this guy's talented. This guy's really, really good. Like this, I don't need the Canelo fight to do that. But him whooping, like beating decisively Canelo, something we have not seen since Floyd. I mean, especially when we know Canelo was on an absolute tear, whooping everybody. He didn't even make the fight close. All right. So seeing that skill level, and then you go to BETERBIEV. I mean, at the end of the day, with these guys, these overseas guys, they don't have a lot of fights under their belt. They don't have 50-0, 60-0, like let's say a Canelo and like some of these other like Mexican fighters who fight a lot. But they make their fights count. And if you look at their resumes, there's a lot of solid and really good competition. But the number one thing about BETERBIEV is the fact that he's 20-0. But guess what? He has 20 finishes. That is insane. You fight BETERBIEV, the guarantee is that he's going to knock you out. That is it. Your goal is to survive, and it hasn't happened yet in 20 fights. I don't know how many championship fights he's had in the 20, but I believe it's over 8. But yet and still, it is ridiculous the type of power, precision, and accuracy this man has.
Yeah, and just to help you out here, it's actually 9. I'm looking at it here. He does have 9 title defenses, and you're right, they're all knockouts. So this is one of those, again, we're looking at a guy who has some trouble getting some of these top dogs in the ring, but the ones that he did get in the ring, he got them out of the ring fairly quickly too. I mean, his last 3 fights have not even gone past the 8th round. So we're expecting to see, something that even Tank Davis hasn't done yet, which is 100% KO. He's going up here against Bivol, who is, we just talked about it, one of the best boxers in all of boxing. So I'm excited to see if BETERBIEV can land and what Bivol does when he does land.
The crazy thing about it too is like this is how crazy BETERBIEV is as a boxer. Canelo has been calling out Bivol since he's lost. But I don't know if you heard the comments, but Canelo literally said he's only interested in fighting at light heavyweight again if Bivol wins. He's not interested in fighting BETERBIEV at all. That right there, and he's bringing up a size thing, which is legit BS. We all know, yes, he's bigger, but so is Bivol. So is Kovalev. So is so many other guys that you fought has been bigger than you. Shoot, your last fight was way bigger than you, but you still fought these guys. And you was trying to fight two at freaking cruiserweight. You trying to fight a cruiserweight. So that just shows you right then and there that like Beterbiev is just a different specimen, and people have been ducking. People don't want to fight this guy for real. The guys that do fight, we got to give him respect. But look at a Callum Smith, who I thought was gonna give him work. I thought Callum Smith was really possibly gonna win this fight. He got whooped. And we're talking about a 39-year-old got whooped. I mean, man, there's just so many stories when it comes to this little fight. This big fight that we're about to watch. And the fact that we're getting this for free on DAZN, I'm super happy.
That's the one thing that I want to point to, is that this is a fight that's not going to cost much for those who want to pay for it to watch. So fight parties are on their way back. I'm excited for that. I feel like boxing as a whole is starting to see that boxers are losing out on money, right? Because everyone is, pirating their streaming the fights. But I'm excited to see this fight. I'm excited to see what happens with, something's got to give. Something has got to give, and we'll see what Bivol does with Beterbiev power, and what Beterbiev power does when he can't land on Bivol.
All right, so now listen. Now we're gonna do a slight little breakdown. All right, we both seen many fights of all these guys. They both have really good resumes. Now, if we're talking about Beterbiev, all right. Now here's the thing. He is an excellent fighter. We just bragged about him, but he is not a perfect fighter, even though his record is perfect. He has touched the canvas before. He has been in dog fights before. I mean, even if you go back to the Yarde fight, I mean, you can argue before the drop started happening, he was losing that fight. And Yarde was really piecing him up pretty good. And he showed that Beterbiev is a little slow. You can outbox him a little bit. You can land on him. However, it's just the fact that Beterbiev is just a machine. Taking him out and lasting for 12 rounds while he's landing these bombs consistently, and his pace doesn't stop, the energy doesn't stop, the power literally tracks into the later rounds. It literally eventually wears on you and it gets you out of there. Now, obviously, Bivol, we already know, master at distance, really good footwork. He does have power. Like, we don't want to sit here and act like this guy is just a boxer and he won't sting you. He will sting you. But yet and still, he's not the power puncher that a Beterbiev is. So I want to know, what is your keys to victory for Beterbiev?
Beterbiev, you got to land, okay? You know what Bivol brings to the table. He's a slick puncher. He has great defense. Canelo couldn't get him out of there, okay? So, and he tried. So it wasn't just an off night for Canelo. I think Canelo really had a good game plan going in. Bivol was just a better man that night. So if you're Beterbiev, be accurate with your punch shots and make sure that energy does not get wasted, because Bivol will take you the distance.
I'm with you. Now, to me, for Bivol and his ways of victory, I think that is obviously use your legs, use your feet. Don't let him trap you in the corner. Don't let him trap you against the ropes. I wouldn't even want to really be tricky with it when it comes to the inside boxing. Stay in your distance, keep your jab popping. Obviously, let the combinations flow when Arturo gets a little lazy and Beterbiev is obviously, on the manhunt and he's being overly aggressive. Sting him with the punches. He has to respect you. I think that's the number one thing, is to make sure you gain respect, but also don't get too confident exchanging. All right. Now, Beterbiev is not necessarily just the one punch KO like Deontay Wilder put you to sleep kind of guy. Like, granted, he can put you down with his power, but he's not like a one-punch KO, you snoring for days kind of thing, or a tank. But yet and still, his power is good enough that he punches you, it will sting you, and it will hurt you enough that it's going to last for like 3 minutes, which will accumulate to him eventually getting a stoppage. It's going to come in bunches, all right? He drops you one time, he is a sniper, and he hits hard. Okay, so I want people to be like, he punches hard. I know he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying that you don't see too many one-punch tank kind of KOs. It's normally the accumulation, referee stop it or corner stoppage saying, hey, he don't whoop my ass too long. All right, I don't want to take it anymore. It might ruin my career. Bivol just has to keep his distance. All right, he's the longer guy. Like I said, I like his combinations a little bit better. He's more slick and he's better with his feet. And we got to remember, Bivol is 39. He's not in his prime. As good as he still is, he's not the best version of himself. He doesn't have as much wear and tear, sure, but 39 is not the same as 35. Okay, it's a big difference. So yet and still, Bivol I think has the edge when it comes to that. But yet, I mean, when you fighting these Russians, and they're both Russian, but when you fighting these Russians, man, one thing I know, and this is just from the MMA standpoint, which is that they don't care. They don't give a damn about who you are, what your record is, what skill set you have. I'm gonna come in and I'm ready to fight. So I know for a fact we're going to get the best version. Ain't gonna be no choking with these guys. The best version of both guys. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes as well. Like we said, something has got to give. Okay, either Bivol is gonna give us a boxing show of what happens when a puncher gets in the ring with a boxer, or our Beterbiev is going to tell you that 39 is just a number. So I'm excited to see this. Is definitely a clash of titans. Number one versus number two. Again, your number two may be somebody else's number one, and vice versa. So this is what boxing is about. That's fighting the best, and this is the best two in the division.
And also, I want to make a note too that I thought Bivol struggled a little bit in his last fight. Granted, it was a last-minute replacement, and I thought that, in a way, he started off extremely slow. And there could be so many different things. Boxing, especially in a professional level, is so much about game planning and being prepared for who you're fighting. And when you have a last minute like fill-in, which boxers really don't do. Like boxers, like if you have a last minute fill, not even last minute, if you have a fill-in partner, normally you have like a month or two to be able, or like 2 months or so to be able to prepare for that guy, not a few weeks or something like that. So, for him starting off slow, I get it. He was getting pieced up more than I expected, but he still got him out the way and finished like we all expected. But I always had that opinion of like, if that version fought Beterbiev is going to whoop him that night. But you just don't know, because game planning is so important when it comes to combat. So now, we done wrapped you up. We gave you the tails of tape. Now it's time for us to give our predictions. Josh, what are we locking in with today?
I'm going to go with a shocker, because we all need one. I'm going with Bivol, TKO, 11th round.
Bivol TKO. Listen, it's not a shocker that he wins, but everybody is assuming that if he wins, it's going to be by decision. TKO. First of all, you got to explain it. Why is he going to get this TKO?
Bivol is going to take Beterbiev into deeper waters than he's ever been before. You may say Beterbiev is a boxer champion. He has 3 belts. He can go 12 rounds. But has he gone 12 rounds with somebody like Bivol, someone who has constant pressure? If he really wants to, great defense. You all know, especially you, because we've all been in the ring, when you miss, it's not like you're not exerting energy. You're exerting a lot of energy when you miss. You're exerting a lot of energy when you get hit, and vice versa. So, in my humble opinion, I think Bivol is going to take Beterbiev into deep waters to the point where we may get a no-mas situation.
I mean, here's the thing that I will give you, and I'll give you credit for, is the fact that you mentioned the fact of him never been in deep water before. We have to factor in the fact that he has never, in his whole life, he's 39 years old, been boxing since he's young, never has even fought to the 11th round. And we're talking about a 12-round fight. Now, that does, and I've always said this, I said this in MMA, about guys who knock people out in the first round all the time. I'm like, they're good, but they're going to fight somebody eventually that can take their power and make them go into the second, third round. How are they going to look? And 9 times out of 10, when you take them to the second, third round, they're not the same. They normally don't do well. Some guys do, but most guys don't. And this is a great point to mention. And I have to think about that when you're putting your money on the line on somebody and saying, how is Beterbiev going to look in rounds 10? Because we don't know. We don't. And then not to mention, like you said, fighting somebody who has great defense, somebody who does punch a lot. Like Bivol is an active fighter. It's not like he's a defensive fighter where he doesn't do anything. He throws punches.
Yeah. So when we say he's a boxer, we just mean like he's not clobbering everybody. He's still whooping ass. He's
Yeah,
just not doing it in the sense of, a better Reeve, but he's still putting paws on people and punches and bunches. Ask Canelo.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, like I said, Beterbiev been to the 10th round twice in his whole career. Granted, this is the credit you have to give him. They're both stoppages. He hasn't been to the 11th and 12th because those guys couldn't last. And you're banking on him being able to do that with Bivol. So I mean, and you went against the grain and you went TKO with that. I'm going to say that we're going to have an undisputed champion, and that's going to be Beterbiev. I'm going to say Beterbiev is not only going to win, but he's going to get the knockout. I think that he's going to knock Beterbiev out. Actually, I'm not going to say he's going to knock him out. He is going to TKO him. All right, I think he's going to drop him a couple times, and eventually the fight's going to be over. I think that just when you get into a fight like this and you get punched by a man like this, you could just tell from the guys that fought Beterbiev, they haven't been punched like that before. They haven't fought a guy that's that aggressive, that is that much of a machine. I just think that Bivol is going to be one of the guys that get caught in the same blender. He's going to get hit with shots he never felt before. They're going to be harder than Canelo. They're going to be more consistent than Canelo. And they're going to come from different angles than Canelo did, because at the end of the day, Canelo's a 5'9", 180-pound man, and you're fighting a guy who's just as tall, has a 1 inch long, 1 inch reach advantage on you, and punches harder than anybody else you ever fought. So I think that that's going to get him in a blender, and I think that we're going to get a TKO stoppage by the 8th round.
I mean, that's a fair assessment to make because this is a puncher with 100% knockout rate. So I can't disagree that that is an outrageous outcome. I think my call was way more outrageous than yours.
Risky. Yeah, yours is more risky than mine.
Yeah,
Hey,
100%. I could definitely see a knockout coming from Beterbiev. Like I said, this guy is, made from stone. So it's definitely possible.
absolutely. And at the end of the day, I can see, and the thing is, though, this is what makes this fight so great. I can see what you're saying happen. I can see it. It's not like when you said it, it's not like I said, oh my gosh, you're crazy. Like, I'm like, okay, it's possible for sure. Bivol is just that good. I mean, like I said, these are the fights that we want to see. It's the same thing that we said when Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fought. When predictions were all out everywhere. Errol Spence would get a knockout. Terrence Crawford would get a knockout. There was so many different avenues because this fight was so unpredictable. Granted, Terrence got the stoppage and ass whooping. I hope we don't get that kind of fight. I hope it is competitive. But even if it is an ass whooping, it's one of those, oh my gosh, this guy is really great. And we're in my opinion, we're in the best era of boxing in the last 20 years. I think this era of boxing has been entertainment value. It might not be there as far as you don't have the money Mayweathers, you don't have the figures like that and the Manny Pacquiao's, but we're talking about the best fighting the best and the actual quality in the ring. And since my childhood, I can't think of a better era than right now. You really think about the dominations, the champions we're getting, the fights, the legendary fights we're getting. I mean, this is making you fall in love with boxing again, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think right now we're at a point in our era in our life where you said it best. The best are fighting the best, right? We have one person in all of boxing who's choosing his opponents, and that's Canelo. And that's totally fine. I think we can all agree, no matter who Canelo fights, Berlanga, Benavidez, we're going to tune in. We're going to be excited. Just like when we tuned in for Floyd fights when he was handpicking, and we were okay with it because we were excited to see the fights. So I think this is also a great era of boxing. We're getting back to that pay-per-view era, I would jokingly say, the early 2000s and 90s. So, yeah, I think overall we're getting good fights. And what's awesome, too, is some of these fights are either living up to expectation or they're not what we expected, and they're better than what we were expecting coming into the fight.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the year, we should probably, not even the end of the year, maybe one day we drop an episode to talk about this era in boxing and talk about all the legendary fights that we've had. You go from heavyweight championship to the Errol Spence fight. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight. And then you even can go to the, it's still a big fight, which is the Devin Haney and the freaking Ryan Garcia, or the Ryan Garcia versus Tank. We're getting all these fights and I feel like if this was 10 years ago, we probably wouldn't have got any of these fights. It probably been ways that people would have just shifted and say, I don't want this fight, just down the third. So shout out to social media. I think that social media.
Hey,
I think
people
social
are
media.
fed up. They're
Yeah.
saying it all over social media. Boxers are seeing this. Like, yeah, I actually probably should fight this guy out.
Yeah, like I think social media has been the biggest like positive when it comes to boxing because guys can't duck anymore, and everybody has a social media now, and fighters have egos. They hear the talk and they're like, "Nah, let's let this fight happen, bro. Like you're not about to just keep on calling me out." Social media has way more power than it ever had before. I mean, than any media, newspaper outlets that was 20 years ago. So seeing this now, like I just wanted to keep going. Let's keep calling these boxers out. Obviously, people like Canelo don't care, so like we have to leave him alone. But these other guys, especially American boxers, they hear and they read. So let's definitely stay on them. But that's our predictions. We want to hear what you guys think. Let us know your predictions before the fight actually happens. And as always, man, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. We appreciate all the views. Last time we opened for a fight, we had 1,200 views. Let's beat that. Let's get to 2,000. Let's get to 3,000. Let's just keep blowing this up. Continue to comment. Follow us on social media. Josh, where can they find us at?
Find us on our fight page at Josh's Fight Forum.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys for watching. As always, man, make sure y'all stay blessed.